El Mencho's terror network explodes in Atlanta raid. 500 plus pounds of drugs seized. Was that a fucking grenade? Nah. No, right? There's no way. Cause if he did, he would have ran. Why would he throw it behind? But that definitely looks like a pin. Oh shit. What the fuck? Dude just went to the roof. What the fuck? Damn.
The count on the firearms manifest doesn't match the physical inventory.
Recounting now, we've still got the currency to process.
This is AI. That is AI.
Operation at two stash houses in North Georgia. Channel 2's Courtney Francisco.
It looks
live
fake
now
as
at
fuck.
one of those houses in DeKalb County on Northeast Expressway. And Courtney, the second one happened at a home in Stone Mountain. In both cases, investigators say the cartels use families with children as cover.
As stash spots? That's crazy.
More than 500 pounds of packaged marijuana and 9 firearms.
I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, that is probably the smartest thing to do.
were pulled out in one sweep. For the trained eye, when a haul that size shows up in a single raid, it usually means something bigger is sitting behind it.
Investigators say these cartels, they try to embed into our communities using that family facade while storing hundreds of pounds of drugs in just one of these apartments here, and then same scenario in Stone Mountain.
2 days of simultaneous raids across Woodstock, Sandy Springs, and Atlanta revealed a distribution hub deep inside Georgia's suburbs.
New video shows red and blue lights flashing when a line of federal agents filled a quiet street in Stone Mountain and found 300 pounds of meth in the home next door.
What?
See, I just thought there was no
300 pounds is
Neighbors were too
crazy.
afraid of retaliation to show their faces,
What
but
the
they say they found
fuck?
a typical family with 2 kids lived here, not someone possibly connected to one of the most notorious drug cartels from Mexico.
So they looked like a normal family. They had children. You know, I seen the wife, friends come over.
Same situation in the Indigo apartment complex. 700 pounds of meth.
What? Fuck, where do they even hide that much fucking drugs? 700 pounds of meth is fucking insane.
With 2 young children inside.
And with kids too, like imagine one of the kids grabs that. Fuck.
The GBI found a fortified property in Vine City, wired for surveillance, guarded from the inside.
There's nothing more dangerous than breaking down a door, you know, with a legal warrant in hand.
An APD narcotics commander provided Fox 5 with an exclusive look.
The one with the dreads, he came out the back room with AR-15.
At a recent drug raid at a Southside apartment complex. In addition to a mini pharmacy stash of suspected commonly used narcotics, there was also marijuana, ecstasy
Firearms.
and thousands in cash. Investigators also confiscated 5 weapons, and it is the gun seizure that Chief Darren Shearbaum told city council members is so critical.
When you have a lucrative business such as this, someone will invariably come to take the drugs you see there, will invariably come to knock out the competition. And it's incumbent on this department to be engaged in those spaces for the citizens so violence never comes through Rambling Lane or that apartment complex.
There were welded grills on the inside of the house, cameras on every approach angle possible. Who was it linked to? The cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion.
Damn, they got people out here moving that shit in large fucking amounts. That's crazy. One house had 300 pounds and the other one had 700 pounds. Like, fuck. And you guys seen them, they had all types of drugs in there too.
Also have ties to these cartels. So in this particular case, the cartel is the Jalisco, Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generacion.
CJNG is one of Mexico's most violent cartels.
And you might be saying, how do y'all know it was them? Cause whenever they send anything, they always got their stamp, like their logo as their brand, bro.
Now, its reach is punching into U.S. neighborhoods. But how deep did this go? And who was running it locally? Before we get into how this crew operated, here's how that door breach exposed their entire network.
Cartel expert in Sam Houston State University Associate Professor Nathan Jones says the CJNG is one of the most powerful cartels in Mexico.
Primarily, they try to be low profile here in the United States. So I'm very interested to find out.
Exactly, you usually don't hear them being caught in here, but that is a big drug bust for them.
Law enforcement. Why law enforcement thinks the CJNG
in
particular is connected to these chop shops and what those.
I mean, if it's that much, you know, like that large of a quantity of drugs, they definitely got connects to them for sure. Cause ain't no way some regular, you know what I'm saying, drug dealer's gonna have that much drugs on him. Just impossible.
Earlier this week, the cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación made
They gotta be connected to some type of cartel or organization.
41 people, 16 of which are on the run, some with ties to Houston.
CJNG
Houston.
is not just confined
What the
to Michoacan
fuck?
or to Jalisco. It's in Houston. Its folks are in Houston.
The moment they hit that front door,
Damn.
they realized this wasn't a typical
Damn.
spot. Before this, they had already spent
What the
months
fuck?
tracking quiet movements between Woodstock, Sandy Springs, and Atlanta, waiting for the exact day all three locations.
That was in
The
Atlanta though.
investigators say they monitored suspicious patterns for months, like unusual vehicle movement, heavy incoming loads in the neighborhood, and the kind of surveillance gear that made all the investigators and intelligence officers on this case wary. They already had intelligence on the operations. After all, it only makes sense to issue 5 separate search warrants and the involvement of multiple federal and state agencies. Before the raids went down, investigators pulled in every unit that mattered. GBI's Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office took the lead since they handle multi-county narcotics pipelines ATF joint because 9 firearms were already tied to the suspects on paper.
Ooh, look at that one. That 1911 is nice as fuck. This one right here. Fuck, look at that shit. Damn. Wait, do they have a San Judas on it? Oh shit. Big ass San Judas on it.
Already tied to the suspects on paper, and any cartel gun trafficking automatically lands on their desk.
Agents displayed the huge number of high-powered weapons they say were seized during operations here in Georgia. Put aside the common handguns, they say they seized this 50 caliber machine gun.
I heard that's one of the biggest states, like, when it comes to gun trafficking, Atlanta.
Along with assault rifles, even these squad automatic weapons, or SAWs. Atlanta ATF special agent in charge.
They got all types of weapons, bro.
Quite a haul.
They got a Barrett. Damn.
Gibbons says the
See what I'm
Mexican
telling you?
drug
Over a
cartels
million
use money from the sale
in
the
weapons.
US of meth and fentanyl to buy these weapons, usually from American citizens who bought them legally here. He says people know about the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. but may not know about the flow of illegal weapons back into Mexico.
Outside of the hand pistols, most of these rifles are readily converted over to fully automatic.
Homeland Security investigations stepped in for one reason. Cartel cases cross borders, and HSI tracks the financial and communication chains behind them. And with stash houses spread across 3 different counties, local narcotics units had to move at the same time, or the whole operation would collapse. The second one door opened for U.S. bus. That's a big team on its own.
All of a sudden, police everywhere and FBI everywhere, and so we've been watching it since 9:15 this morning.
Neighbors in Cherry Hill heard this for several hours this morning.
Cherry
into the
Hill?
afternoon.
What the fuck?
Later, a bang
Damn.
followed by
Cherry
smoke.
Hill's crazy, bro.
Officers had guns drawn as a man came out of the home with hands raised. Chopper 6 was overhead as he was put into cuffs and then into the back of a vehicle.
When the breach team entered the Vine City house on October 30th, the first thing they saw were walls reinforced from the inside. So when agents stepped over the threshold, they were walking into a space wired for surveillance, cameras, audio feeds, every corner feeding information to someone watching from a distance. As you guys probably know, that level of setup isn't exactly for street-level dealers. It's for people protecting a pipeline.
Exactly what I said, bro. No regular drug dealer is gonna go through the trouble of doing all that. They are definitely protecting someone bigger or something way bigger than them.
Now here's why this hit Atlanta so hard. Once the team pushed deeper into the house, they found floor-to-ceiling bundles of vacuum-sealed cannabis, more than 500 pounds across all locations, pulled out in one coordinated sweep, according to the GBI. But the drugs weren't the part that made investigators stop for a second. It was the 9 weapons sitting beside them. Rifles, handguns, tools meant to guard inventory that was never supposed to be found. And we can say that finding 1 weapon in a stash house is normal, but finding 9 tells a different story. It means the people running this
not really.
expected trouble. It means they planned for a breach long before the GBI showed
They
up
just
at
trying
their
to
door.
stay protected. Stay ready.
The October 31st press release on this case stated, the investigation revealed that associates of Cartel Jalisco New Generation, CJNG, were working with Metro Atlanta contacts to traffic firearms, marijuana, coke, and methamphetamine. So, that weapon count is what pushed investigators to rethink who they were dealing with. No small crew keeps that kind of arsenal inside a neighborhood house unless they are answering to someone higher. And this is where the case took a turn, because hidden inside that house were the first clues pointing to who this crew actually worked for. The moment investigators connected the stash house to CJNG, the tone of the entire operation changed.
I
Before
bet.
this, the operation in Metro
I
Atlanta
bet they
looked
did.
like a large local grid. But once agents found
So, I mean,
evidence
bruh,
tied to Jalisco operators in
they know that they're not dealing just with, like they said, some street dealer at that point. It is something way bigger.
Mexico, they knew they were dealing with far more than basement-level dealers in Georgia now. Investigators into this case know that CJNG doesn't expand randomly. They pick cities that give them reach across entire regions. And let's look at Atlanta a bit here. Atlanta sits on I-20, I-75, and I-85, and that alone makes it a perfect staging point for a cartel that moves narcotics across multiple states. I-85
Makes sense.
sends loads straight into the Carolinas and Virginia without slowing down.
Yeah,
I-75
they got a
pushes
lot of
everything north
they
into
got a lot of connecting points to other states.
Tennessee, then further into Ohio and Kentucky. I-20 connects straight into Alabama and Mississippi. That layout alone gives CJNG an entire region off one city. Then there's Hartsfield-Jackson, the busiest airport in the world. A place where thousands of workers move in and out every day, and where couriers can blend in without leaving any trail. A small local airport would pick up investigators, say cartels have used airports like this for years to rotate people in 90-day cycles, so they never build patterns. Someone flies in, works a route, flies out, before anyone notices they were even there. What made Atlanta even easier for CJNG was
They be sending people to other states and just have them deliver that.
smaller crews were already operating across Georgia.
What the fuck? Nah, why they put this video, bro? We just reacted to this video like 2 days ago.
Not powerful crews, not highly structured operations, just small groups moving product in low volumes. CJNG has a history of absorbing crews like that. They buy them out, flip their routes, take their stash houses, and turn the whole thing into part of their pipeline. So when investigators saw how those highways, those crews, and that airport lined up, it made perfect sense. And the DEA has been warning about it for years. According to the DEA's national press release from late September 2025, CJNG is one of the most violent and prolific trafficking organizations in the world. In that announcement, DEA Administrator Terrence Cole stated, "Let this serve as a warning. DEA will not relent. Every arrest, every seizure, and every dollar stripped from CJNG represents lives saved and communities protected." Then, the dots connected. As the GBI traced movements between Woodstock, Sandy Springs, and Vine City, they were watching a structure that looked exactly like the cells CJNG plants in hub cities. They found quiet suburban homes, heavy and ready inventory, surveillance systems built into everyday neighborhoods. The Southeast has become a corridor for Mexican cartels, and CJNG is at the center of that shift. one of the latest HITA threat assessment reports even say that CJNG is one of the fastest growing transnational criminal organizations in Mexico.
Best believe that. Best believe that.
In the world.
Cartels have infiltrated the United States and through the southern border are operating in all major states and cities. These cartels have established and expanded their networks to carry out their illicit activities, to include fentanyl trafficking and human smuggling as well.
These official statements were simply forecasting what the GBI caught, but what made Atlanta even more attractive was the ability to move product north and south without slowing down. CJNG has used this pattern in Los Angeles and Chicago. They build a hub.
Chicago's also another big city for that. Happens a lot there.
And they push volume through it until investigators get close. Here in Georgia, investigators discovered a nearly identical pattern. Attention to detail, ample resources, and the luxury of blending into suburban neighborhoods until the right moment. Except this time, the house wasn't just a hub. It was linked to the people carrying out El Mencho's orders inside Georgia.
One at this shop, another at a liquor store a few miles down the road. There were also warrants served in Cherokee County, and a home in Atlanta was raided.
Now everyone's asking, if this one cell, hidden in the suburbs, is connected to El Mencho's network, how many more are still active? Atlanta may have hit the jackpot with this bust, but the infrastructure is already there for the next one. And the only way to stop that is to follow the flow back to the top. Once agents mapped who was moving in and out of those...
Bro, even their own people are bought, so it's gonna be hard for them to actually find them.
Properties. The faces behind the operation finally came into focus. Before this, the traffic looked like mid-level movement, nothing out of the ordinary for suburban Georgia. But the names told investigators this was something different.
3 men were arrested, 2 from Mexico, the 3rd from Sandy Springs. They were booked into the Cherokee County Jail.
First to get himself in handcuffs was Juvenal Farfan Arellano, 52. The oldest of the 3, he has very little public record beyond this big bust of the decade. But as he's from Mexico and not a U.S. national, his involvement means he's the pipeline link between Mexico and Southeast U.S. Farfan Arellano moved between locations, keeping stock consistent while the fortified Vine City house stored most of the product second to get thrown in was 33-year-old Omar Flores Mina. This Mexican hunk was holding cocaine and meth in addition to the marijuana load. That detail alone moved him out of the weed distributor category and straight into
he was the one moving it, and the other one was just making sure everything was going on right.
Jose Radilla Maldonado, only 29. He's an American citizen from Sandy Springs, positioned in a quiet residential area where nothing about his daily routine drew attention. He blends in without screaming Mexican cartel. So I look at him and I'm like, he most likely handled local distribution and made everything look less sus. All 3 are tied directly to the house's hit in the coordinated raids. And of course, all 3 are charged under Georgia's RICO statute after investigators linked their movements to a larger structure. So once the GBI searched their properties, the pattern became impossible to ignore.
This investigation's targeting fentanyl trafficking, cocaine trafficking, methamphetamine trafficking, marijuana trafficking, of course, weapons trafficking,
all types of fucking shit they got.
This is exactly how CJNG plants operational cells. They pick one local face who blends in. They bring in foreign nationals who can maintain ties to handlers in Mexico. They split responsibilities, so no single arrest can collapse the entire network. It is a structure designed to function quietly for months. Except, this one did not stay quiet. Something inside that network slipped, and that slip is what brought investigators to the front door of the Vine City house in the first place. Now everyone's asking the same thing. Who inside this crew made the mistake that exposed the entire operation? And how far up the ladder does that mistake reach? Because what investigators uncovered next showed exactly how deep El Mencho's pipeline had already pushed into Georgia. By the time the trucks pulled away and the doors were sealed, investigators knew this wasn't a one-off seizure. Before this, the signs of a larger pipeline were scattered across different counties, but the moment those 500 pounds and 9 firearms came out of that fortified house, the scale became impossible to ignore.
500 pounds is a lot.
Previous investigations and records,
a lot.
Agencies know that CJNG doesn't lose territory quietly. When one cell collapses, another usually steps in to keep the pipeline moving, and that is the part investigators are preparing for now. The GBI called this only one phase of a much longer investigation, so while this crew is sitting in custody, the network behind them is still being traced. Phone records, movements, cash routes, all of it pointing back to the structure El Mencho's people built inside the southeast. And the question sitting over Atlanta now is simple. If this was just one house, how many more are still running quiet? If you want to follow where this investigation...
Damn. Bro, imagine that shit. Like they said, if that was only one house with 500 pounds, imagine how many other houses have way more than that. Fuck. They would have to go through all of Atlanta and surrounding areas to make sure they get every single one of them. But shit. This is the end of the video, y'all. If y'all enjoyed, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay blessed.